Hey, Lord of the Rings fans, it's your boy, KnewBettaDoBetta. I'm here with my lovely co-host. Introduce yourself.
Hey guys, I'm Callie.
KaliCosplay, the one and only. We are bringing you something very special, something we worked extremely hard at. Let me go ahead and hit the intro for you because we are bringing you our very first podcast episode of Voices of Arda. So intro away. All right, man. Let's jump right into it. Let's not bore anybody with the back and forth of how we got the technical side of the podcast working. Let's just get right into it. So, Callie, who are you?
So on TikTok, I am known as KaliCosplay. I just started getting into cosplay, say 4 or 5 months ago, so I am still very new. But I am learning very quickly and enjoying it. Lord of the Rings has been a love of mine since I was a very little girl, and so what better place to start with my cosplay adventures than the lovely elf? So here I
Yes,
am.
lovely elf. I love your cosplays. Actually encountered you through TikTok. I was doing a live and you jumped in. Well, we'll get into that. So I'm so glad to be a part of the Lord of the Rings community. And I'm so glad you're a part of the Lord of the Rings community and that we found each other and we've found great camaraderie. So thank you so much for introducing yourself. Where are you hailing from? Where are you from?
I am from the lovely capital city in Canada. Where are you at?
Canada. I am in New York. I am from the great state of New York, Long Island, New York. So shout out to all my people from Strong Island. How I got into Lord of the Rings was when I was a young boy, many moons ago. I used to get in trouble in school all the time, and
Oh,
at the time, detention used to be in the library. I told this on other podcasts, but now it's mine, so I can own the story much better.
this is your
Um,
story.
I used to get in detention all the time. And detention at the time, at this particular time, was being held in a library. So besides that fact, I was a very intelligent kid. Just got in trouble because I was just bored in school, and I would read to make the time go by faster. And a friend of mine was like, "Hey man, why don't you read this?" And he showed me the book The Hobbit, and I liked the cover. I saw a giant eagle and Bilbo and the dwarves in the Eyrie, and I was like, "Oh, that's cool. Why is the bird so big?" And I literally read it when I was like 12 years old. I got stuck. I got obsessed with Tolkien's his style of writing, his descriptiveness, the adventure, the everything about the story was so beautiful. It's literally very poetic. The poems they resounded with me so deeply. I'm very much into hip hop, and even though a lot of people may not agree with this, Tolkien's poetry style is very similar to rap to me. Even though it's obviously different format, but it resounded with me, and I fell in love with it, been obsessed with it. Got into the Lord of the Rings after I found out there were more books than Silmarillion, and I've probably read those books over a million times, and I've become somewhat of an expert. So that's my Lord of the Rings journey. For all you people out there who are new to New Better Do Better, new to the podcast, I have a social media account on TikTok and many other socials, but my main focus is TikTok, and I've become somewhat of an aficionado on Tolkien and all things Tolkien. And I'm very glad to have a platform to be able to share my knowledge with you guys and my love for Tolkien's work. And me and Callie found each other on TikTok through a live, and we connected right away. And we have joined forces. We have formed like Voltron, as they might say, back in the 80s. And we are coming to bring you our podcast, Voices of Arda. So let's get into it.
Yeah, no, your knowledge is, I came into this thinking that I knew a lot about Lord of the Rings, and then I met you and I met some other creators, and it's kind of that feeling where you're like, oh my gosh, did I really know as much as I thought? But I still do. It's just that with Tolkien, and that's the beautiful thing, is there's always more to know, right?
Exactly. Yeah. Every
Yeah,
time you read, you find something new. Every time I read, I've read this book countless times, and
so many
every time
times.
I get something new out of it. So that's something I want to share with people too. The love, the passion, the relearning, you might forget something and then you like, oh, and then you look at it from a different perspective, getting other people's perspectives. So we wanted to
Mhm.
share that with the world. Um, TikTok limits your content to 3 minutes. So putting out a longer format like this, just openly discussing it. Hopefully, people will pick up with it, and make sure you go follow Kali on her TikTok. We'll have all that information in our video TikTok, our video
Info
of
section.
the podcast, yeah, our info section and all that stuff.
Yeah.
So we're working out the kinks as we go along, but you know. So what else we got going on, Callie? Let's get into this podcast. Let's delve deep into it.
All right. So I got a joke for you.
Oh Lord, I love jokes. I want to hear this.
All right.
It
So
doesn't bode well. You laughing first. It doesn't
it's
bode well for the joke.
jokes are best when the person who's telling them is laughing too hard that they can't even tell it. But
All right, let's
why
hear it.
do dragons sleep all day? KnewBetta?
Why do dragons sleep all day? I don't know, Callie. Why do dragons sleep all day?
So they can fight the knights.
Oh, that was awful. So I think we just discovered a new segment for the day. Every time we're gonna get the bad joke of the day. Apparently, that's what it's gonna be. So they can
That's
fight the night.
hey, but
It
you
is kind of
laughed.
fun. It is kind of funny though.
Yes, first joke. All
Boom
right.
boom. I know I gotta put that sound. I gotta put the boom boom sound
Yeah,
effect
we
in
got to
there.
get some effects in here.
All right, okay.
All right. So now that that horrible, horrible joke has passed, and hopefully everyone's going to forgive me. Why are we here, KnewBetta? Why are we making a podcast?
Well, I kind of halfway explained before, but the reason I wanted to make a podcast is actually demand from the wonderful followers that I have. Also, being able to openly talk about the Lord of the Rings with somebody who I can connect with and bring guests on, and we see their opinions, their sides, their views. We can bounce ideas off each other. It's unparalleled. It's so much fun. I'm from the hood, so I don't get to talk about this with people I grew up with like that. Not that they're all for me. They're all behind me. They're all great job, but they don't want to hear it. That's not what they into. They into other things, and that's completely fine. Very understanding, but they're very supportive. So that's one of the reasons I found TikTok, found the other socials with Lord of the Rings finally after 30 something years. And yeah, being able to express myself and get people to hear my voice. Why on your end are we making this podcast?
I think the why and what I think will make this podcast so special is that we really are coming from the community. We met on TikTok as two like completely separate creators, but then we've come together and we've built this community. And there's so much talent. It's incredible and so much knowledge in there. And I think that this podcast is going to give us a really unique opportunity to showcase all of those voices. I hope we have guests on here on every episode because yeah, everybody brings something new and different, their perspectives, where they were at their point in life when they read Tolkien, and what they got out of it. All of that, changes every time. And I think
Yeah.
it's just really special to be able to share our love of the rings with
Yes.
everybody and to cast it out into the world. So that's why I'm here with you to do that.
And listen, like the camaraderie in the community, even though there was a bit of an uproar when the trailer dropped for the new Lord of the Rings online
Hmm.
project.
Hmm.
There was different mixed opinions. We're here for all of that, whether you agree or disagree. This is a place where we can talk about it. You don't have
Hmm.
to agree with us. You don't have to see our, but you know what? We all love Lord of the Rings, So we can talk about it. Maybe we can get an understanding on why you feel the way you feel, or we feel the way we feel about anything, no matter what it is. And this is a place to do it, not typing. I call people that type crazy stuff and then disappear. I call them computer gangsters. You know what I'm saying? Because I grew up very different. Where listen, man, you have something to say, you have to say it to people. So it is what it is. But a cool thing is this community is so diverse and so cool that we were doing a podcast and we have a Discord that Callie literally made from scratch, and it is popping, it is booming. If you guys don't know about our Discord, go on our socials. I'll put the link in the bio of this actual podcast. And if you're a super Tolkien nut like us, join our Discord. join the fun games, we watch movies, do all that stuff, etc. You'll see when you do it. But join our Discord. But we ran into people that literally, when we told them to do a podcast, they all started contributing different things. And I
Yeah.
want to give a special shout out to my man, Glam Drink Fohammer. The intro you
Yes,
heard,
sir.
he said, "Hey guys, I got you on the intro." We were like, "Oh, we were looking for music. We were looking for something." And he said, "Don't worry about it. I do music." And we didn't even know he had that skill. And he got up there with us, and we did a live with him. And we were like, a little bit of this, a little bit of that. And he did the magic fingers. Callie, did he do the magic fingers? He did the
He
magic
did
fingers.
something magic on some sort of phone. I don't know, some device of magic box that he was using
And
of this fifth age. But yes, he put that together for us. So thank you so much, Glamdring. We will have you on here hopefully soon, and you can
yeah,
talk about the music that makes us.
yeah, man. So, that is something that I loved about this, because I'm like, wow. And then we're bouncing ideas for each other's TikToks off each other. And it's like, we have so much to do, so far to go. I can't wait to get on the journey, man. An incredible journey.
And an
So,
unexpected and incredible journey. Absolutely.
yes, absolutely, absolutely. So that's what's going to make this podcast so much fun. It's going to make it different. Typically, people say this to me all the time, and it's funny because they say it to me, and they kind of like try to censor themselves. They're like, I don't want to sound weird by saying this, but I've never seen a black guy in the token before. So that's going to be one of the things that makes this so special. We have two people of color. From our perspective, what Tolkien means to us, our experiences doing Tolkien, the good and the bad, and
Mhm.
that we're still here. We're still fighting through the nonsense, and we're doing Tolkien, and you know, um, let everybody know that we respect Tolkien's writing and we love it just as much as anybody else.
Mhm.
So
Just as
yeah,
much, if not more.
if not more.
If
Yes,
not more. How do
and
you measure your love for Tolkien? How does one do that, do you think?
I am very competitive. I'm very competitive, so I
You don't
measure my
say.
love in challenging people. If you think I don't love Tolkien, challenge me. Trivia. I'm so into trivia. We have our trivia nights, guys. Also on our TikToks, we do
Ooh.
lives with trivia with prizes, and we got something big coming up. Can't say too much right now, but
Mhm.
yeah, man. So I just feel like this. If you feel like just because I'm a person of color, I may not know as much, or I'm not from England or UK or wherever, and stuff like that, and I may not know as much. You're welcome to question me, and you will
You'd
be
be wrong. He knows
you will be
everything.
very surprised. And I love it and respect it, and it's awesome, man. And I'm glad that people of all colors, no matter the background, no matter where you're from, you're all respected and loved and appreciated. And I'm so thankful for all of you. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, this is what's going to make this podcast special. I'm not a prototypical nerd. Like, people like to call people who read typically nerds and stuff like that, but I've never been a nerd like that. But I'm embracing it. I'm a blurred. I'm embracing that new thing. But I'm still like, I still grew up outside. When we say outside in New York, we mean we was in the street. Like, so it's very fun. You'll get that. I do a video on my TikTok where I go, what is it called? I had a
Code
brain fart
switching.
for a second. Code switching for the Lord of the Rings, where how I would actually like to say it, and I do my TikTok voice where I'm talking, and they're both the same. They're all me. They're all parts of me. But I think it's hilarious because if I was saying it without being conscious of having everybody understand how I was saying it, talking, I would just say it, in my regular vernacular that I just comfortably saying. And that's another fun thing about the podcast. I'll be talking, without code switching per se. You know what I'm saying? But sometimes it's okay to code switch because you gotta. It's okay for your audience. You're like, maybe this person doesn't understand this slang. Let me just speak this way, blanket this way, because I can speak that way and I do speak that way when it's time to. But when it's time for me to be comfortable, I might say, "Yo, what's popping?" You know what I'm saying? You dig what I'm saying, Callie?
That's cool. Yeah, yeah, we love it, but we're just gonna chill with it. We're gonna chill with our
Yeah,
with our chat, and it'll be good.
yeah.
So you show your love of the rings by just having all this knowledge. You have that eidetic memory, so you remember all the details. I show my love for Tolkien. Well, I guess as I said before, by dressing up. So I've got all this jewelry on. I've got the rings of power in my hands, right here.
So jealous.
And I've got the Even Star necklace, and
Yes.
hopefully can continue on my journey of collecting the jewelry and the pieces, and eventually some swords from the Lord of the Rings. So,
I know that's my one downfall. I don't have any collections of anything like that. I used to have the ring, but I moved a few times and it got but I have a
oh,
collection of books though. My books are my
you got the
collection.
books.
They're my babies.
That's
So
beautiful.
speaking of jewelry,
Hmm.
let's get into the main meat of what our podcast is going to be about today. Today we're going to be talking about the jewelry of Arda, and as our lovely host Callie just pointed out, she has many of the jewelry on right now. So, what jewelry are you wearing beside the Even Star?
All right, so I've got the Even Star necklace. I've got the three elven rings of power. We've got Nenya, the ring of adamant. We have Narya, the ring of air. And we've got Vilya, the ring of fire. I have the one ring. I am wearing it. I know I'm taking a big risk here, but we'll be brave, everybody. And I'm wearing the ring of bear here,
Oh
um,
my God, I love the Ring of
which
Barrett here.
though it lacks in maybe the power of the three elven rings, it makes up for in its history, for sure, in its lineage.
Yes,
So,
it is far
um,
older.
far older, yes, made before the rings of power, which
Yeah.
surprised a lot of our listeners. So, so I'm wearing the jewelry, and that's what I do. How about you tell me more about the jewelry that I am wearing, New Betta?
All right, so if we're going to talk about the jewelry, of course, everyone knows because the main story that everyone knows the most is the Lord of the Rings. So we know that in The Hobbit, the first piece of jewelry that we encounter, if we're not considering swords or weapons or scabbards, anything jewelry, just the one ring, it's unadorned. It was made by the Dark Lord Sauron, and Bilbo did not know that he found the One Ring. He thought it was just a magic ring that he found in Gollum's cave in Goblin Town in the Misty Mountains when they were crossing over to travel through the Forest of Mirkwood over to the Lonely Mountain, Erebor. So the first piece of jewelry we encounter, the One Ring. Actually, the big bad of the entire series, The Lord of the Rings. We encounter that first. And then if we move on, we come to find out in The Lord of the Rings, there are many, many magic rings, as Gandalf pointed out to Frodo. So all in total, the main rings of power, there are 20 rings of power. We have the big bad One Ring made by Sauron himself, and then we have the three rings made by who were they made by, Callie?
They were made by Celebrimbor.
Yes,
Yes.
Celebrimbor. Celebrimbor in conjunction with Sauron, using his knowledge, but he wasn't aware. Sauron wasn't aware that he made the three, but using the knowledge that Sauron taught him, he made the three Elven rings without Sauron's being present or knowing about them. So those are the three strongest rings beside the One Ring. And then we have the other rings of power. We have the seven that the dwarf lords possess, and then we have the nine that the men possess. And those rings were made by the elves of Aragion. Aragion was literally a kingdom of elves, of Noldor elves, near to Khazad-dûm, and its capital was Austin Ethel, and they had like a guild of wonderful, wonderful craftsmen and jewelsmiths. The Gwite, my pronunciation of this is terrible. And I was talking to my friend Wizard Way Chris. Shout out to Wizard Way Chris. She teaches Elven. Everybody go look her up on TikTok. Her name is Wizard Way Chris. She's awesome. She wanted me to pronounce it. This is one thing I'm not comfortable pronouncing. The ear Gwythin Eardine, something like that. But forgive the butchering of that because that's one thing I'm not comfortable pronouncing. But it's basically the people of the jewelsmiths, and their craft was so great that no elves surpassed their forging and their crafting since Feanor. And Feanor is the greatest craftsman of all time. And fun fact, in case you didn't know, if you're new to the podcast, Feanor is Celebrimbor's grandfather. So the greatest smith, greatest craftsman of all time is Feanor. He created another set of jewels. We'll talk about those in a minute. And then Celebrimbor, his grandson, was the second greatest smith of all time. He created the rings of power, specifically the three rings of power that we see Callie has on her fingers. the air of the ring of air, the ring of fire, the ring of water, and those rings are seen in the actual Lord of the Rings movie. Galadriel has we actually only see Galadriel's ring, excuse me, but we know Galadriel has the ring of adamant, the ring of water, and Elrond possesses the ring of air, and it's not known until the very end that Gandalf actually possesses the ring of fire, the ring, the ruby ring, the red ring, and before Gandalf had it, Círdan the shipwright, the oldest elf in Middle Earth, is Círdan the shipwright, and he actually passed this ring on to Gandalf to help him in his quest to help the free peoples unite against Sauron and defeat Sauron. So that makes up the ring jewelry that we in our jewelry section here in our podcast. Any more jewelry you want to talk about, Callie?
Oh, well, there's so many pretty ones. Oh, we talked about the rings of power, but we haven't talked about the ring of Barahir yet. I want to hear more about that.
All right, so the Ring of Barahir in the Lord of the Rings in the Two Towers in the movies, because I know you guys love the films. That ring is actually possessed by Aragorn, and it is an heirloom that's passed down in his household. So this is how Saruman knows that this is Aragorn, the heir of Isildur, because he possesses the Ring of Barahir. So the Ring of Barahir actually goes all the way back to probably even before the First Age, but in the First Age, it was a ring possessed by Galadriel's eldest brother. His name was Finrod Felagund, and this was a ring that possessed the basically the sigil of his house. Two serpents, one devouring the other, while wearing a golden crown, and two green emeralds, which were literally those green emeralds were a thing that were found and mined in Valinor, and Finrod brought many of them over. So this ring was like basically a symbol of his household, and his father was named Finarfin, so it was his symbol, or very much like in Game of Thrones where they have the stag, the lion, the dragon. This was his sigil, and that ring is described as family crest basically. So Finrod had this ring, and he was in a fight. It's called the Battle of Unnumbered Flame, the Dagor Bragalak, and he was about to get killed. He got trapped and surrounded, and he was about to get killed. But a group of men, Barahir and his companions, came to his defense, and they got him out of there and rescued him. And Finrod was so thankful that in token of his thanks, he gave Barahir his ring. And he said, basically, thank you. I'm indebted to you. Take this ring. It's going to be a symbol that, anything you need or anyone in your family needs, if you have this ring, just I will come and aid you in whatever, because of you, you saving me. He gave a vow that he would do that. So the ring became the Ring of Barahir, because Barahir was the head of Dorthonion, and the men of the House of Bayor. So the lasting, because the Dagor Bragalak, the men really got, whew, they got the short end of the stick there. But yeah, so he had this ring, and then the ring passes down throughout the ages. Baron, his son, yes, famous Baron from Baron and Luthien, his son retrieves the ring after Barahir is killed, and then it just becomes a family heirloom that passes all the way down throughout the ages. And being that Aragorn is descended from Baron and Luthien, all the kings of Numenor, and the lords of Numenor, and then the kings of Arnor, and it just passes throughout the second age and then the third age. It is literally amazing to see that this ring could survive that long, and it has such a deep and rich history. Also, an interesting thing that you might not know is that the last person that actually possesses the ring, that we know of, is Arwen, because Aragorn gives the ring to Arwen. So
Oh.
you have in the Even Star, she actually has the Ring of Barahir. I think the Even Star was made as a movie token, you know, movie descriptive thing. In the actual book, he gives her the Ring of Barahir, and she has it. And being that she is the granddaughter of Galadriel, that means the ring went back to the rightful line for Norfin's line. So the ring started off with her eldest brother, Finrod, and then Galadriel's granddaughter Arwen now possesses the ring, so it goes back to Finarfin's line. I think it's the most beautiful poetic thing, and it's in both lines now because Aragorn and Arwen are actually cousins, like a million times removed. Not a million times, but many times removed. Many
Enough
times
times
removed.
removed that you don't got to worry about
Yeah,
it.
that you don't have to worry about it. It's
Don't
no
you
longer
worry about
incest.
your heads about that.
Yeah, it's no longer incest. But yeah, it goes back to the proper line, and it still stays in the line where it was given because Arwen is related to both. So it is amazing. So that is a very intriguing piece of jewelry, and I wish I had the Ring of Barrow here.
It's a very hard one to find. If I recall correctly, I don't know if it was just the movies or if this also happened in the books, but it played a pretty big role in Aragorn revealing who he was.
Yeah. In the in the movie, like I said, Saruman just uses it. It was. I think it was a way to shine light on who Aragorn was,
Mm.
but a way for them to say, okay, this is how I know. How would I know that as Saruman? How would I just know that this random man is, you know, the rightful king? And they use that symbol, which is an heirloom that was passed down. So that's something they would know, just like possessing the shards of Narsil. These are things that are given when you are the heirloom of that house when you're fostered in Rivendell. So in the book, I can't remember right now, but I believe it's one of the tells that he is who he is. So don't quote me on that though, because I gotta refresh that little part. But yes,
I just have to personally say that it's immensely reassuring when sometimes you don't know and you're able to say you don't because that makes all the rest of us feel better.
oh man, I never want to misspeak. I never want to misspeak and say
Yeah.
something wrong, even though that's going to happen. People are going to misremember details. Sometimes are going to have to be corrected. I love when people correct me because I'm like, oh, thank you. Everyone makes mistakes or might misremember something or whatever. But I tried my very best not to. But if you hear me stumble on something, hey, we'll leave a comment. Say, hey, I think you misremembered this wrong. Just be respectful because I'll be respectful to those if I ever try to correct anyone. You know.
That's perfect. That's perfect. All right. That was a really lovely story, and how it all comes back is represented in the ring itself, right? Because it's the snake coming back on itself, kind of like the Ouroboros. So the fact that the ring made its way full circle back to sort of the house of who gave it, then that's a wonderful story.
Yeah.
Um, there's another jewelry item that's connected to Aragorn. What can you tell me about the elf stone?
See, in the Yellowstone is also something very interesting too, because um, that is also one of the green stones that literally, and it represents healing, if I'm not mistaken.
Yes.
And literally, it comes from Valinor as well. And this is something that the Noldor mined, and also Finrod brought over all these green jewels. And this is, if I'm not mistaken, that's one of the histories of this jewel. There's obviously there's different people have different thought processes on how things got there. But if we read the Silmarillion, Finrod brought the most jewels over. Finrod brought the most jewels, and the main jewels that the Noldor mined in Valinor were the green jewels that he brought over. And so this is one of those Elfstones. And then Galadriel giving that to him, literally same thing as the Ring of Barrow here, which also possessed the green stones, like the one that is the Elfstone. So
Yeah, so that one I haven't collected. I haven't collected an elf stone yet, but and that's typically a brooch, so that's like worn on the lapel or something. So,
very, very nice. We love the brooches in Lord of the Rings.
yeah. All right, so we're talking about green gems, and if I recall, New Better, there is a very, very flashy necklace full of green gems. Do you know which one that is?
The Nauglamir, the necklace of the dwarves.
Actually,
So,
hold on a second. There is the Nauglamir, but I'm actually
oh, you're thinking
asking.
about a different one.
I'm asking about the necklace of Girion?
Gideon, of
Girion.
Gideon.
Yes, so that one is a full, huge, humongous. It is a statement piece of a necklace filled with emeralds. And like it is like something that I would wear to an award ceremony. It's colorful, it's brilliant, it's green, it's gold. Oh, I love it. I want this piece so much for my collection. Um, if anybody wants to, buy this giant, giant, giant emerald necklace for me, please find my links anywhere, honestly.
I think they'll be lining up to buy you some stuff, Callie. Um,
But tell me about the history of this flashy, dazzling piece.
so Gideon was the king of Dale,
Okay.
and Dale is literally basically at the foot of Erebor, the Lonely Mountain, and they had a great relationship with the dwarves of Erebor of the Lonely Mountain, and they had great trading back and forth. And the dwarves would craft and mine beautiful everything, toys, literally jewelry, armor. Literally, the people of Dale would get all this stuff, and literally both places became renowned. Dale became renowned for its toy making, and it was like one of the golden markets of the world, and the mountain just for its riches and its armor. And they would make literally the corset that Bilbo wears, the shirt, the mithril shirt, is was made for an elven prince, and its worth is more than that of the Shire. These are the things that the dwarves of Erebor would make, their skills. The dwarves of Erebor, if anybody is not familiar, are descendants of the dwarves of Khazad-dûm. When Khazad-dûm was taken over, they fled and went north, and they inhabited the Lonely Mountain, Erebor, and then they built a great kingdom there, and it became wonderful. And yeah, they made this necklace for the King of Dale. Their relationship was so good, and it was one of the wonders. That and also the Arkenstone. Um, were like just one of the renowned things. The mithril coat. These are some of the jewelry and pieces that were in Erebor. And even though Gideon didn't have the necklace, it was still in Erebor, but it was there.
It was
So
there. It is beautiful, and yeah, that I think is my ultimate, I don't know, conversation starter, statement piece. It definitely serves as both. In
yeah,
the jewelry world, we have terms for things. So something like the ring of Barahir or the Elstone are like heirloom pieces, as you did literally say in the
yeah.
description of them before. But this necklace is, oh, it's just so beautiful, and it is a statement piece, and I mean it speaks for itself is literally what that means. But
But it
there,
pales in comparison to the Nauglamir.
it does, it does.
Let's
Let's
be
hear about
clear.
the ultimate statement piece now, the Noglamir.
The Nauglamir, literally, of all the jewelry of Arda, I think is second, ranked second, only second to the Silmarils. And
Ooh.
later we'll see how they actually are connected for a time. But the Nauglamir was a necklace created for the one and only Finrod Felagant. So when you hear about all this jewelry, you hear my man Finrod's name get brought up a lot. He was such a great person, a great elf, and he did so much for everyone. And he literally discovered men. He gave them knowledge and gave them, places to stay and everything like that. He had the dwarves help him build his wonderful kingdom of Nargothrond, and they loved him, and they gifted him this necklace called the Nauglamir, and it was so beautiful and filled with so many stones, and it was large, but it sat perfectly on whoever wore it, and it was like weightless, and no matter how the person wore it, it always sat with loveliness and grace, and it is literally their most prized possession that they made created was the Nauglamir, and it was just magnificent. No, beautiful, and it was Finrod Felagund had it, but after his death, it stayed in Nargothrond, and then its history gets little hectic. But I don't want to talk about its history further than that until we talk about the big bad jewels of them all, the Silmarils, which we'll get into.
Well, do we want to get into them?
Let's get into them.
Let's do
The
it.
piece de
Talk.
resistance, the number one jewelry in the entire Lord of the Rings legendarium, the one, the only, even more powerful than the One Ring, the Silmarils, created by none other than Feanor himself. Feanor, the son of Finwë and Miriel. Feanor, the greatest elf to ever live, the greatest craftsman, the greatest smith. He's a jerk. I hate him. But
You were like the greatest elf, and I kind of looked sideways.
yeah, he's he is stated to be the greatest elf in all parts now. Like especially in crafting, no one can see him. He is magnificent. You got to give credit where credit is due. He created the Palantir. He created the Feanorian runes. Created the Feanorian lamps. He many jewels, countless jewels, fell swords. He learned from his stepfather Matan. He learned how to make fell swords and wonderful things. But his most prized achievement was the Silmarils, which he made these three jewels that looked like diamonds, but were made of a material stronger than adamant, and they possessed the light of the two trees of Valinor, which literally were created by the goddess Yavanna. And they lit Valinor, and they exuded this magical power of the gods, and they any elf that was in his presence became wiser, stronger, more powerful, just more. It gave them enhancements just all around, and those are the high elves. So this power that comes from these trees was magnificent. It was amazing. It was unparalleled, and it is literally the story of these two trees resounds throughout the entire story of the Lord of the Rings. Now, that being said, this light, he captured it somehow in the Silmarils. And this is what makes the Silmarils so special. And they can't be broken. Only Feanor possibly can find a way to break the Silmarils. So these unbreakable holy jewels that possess the light of the gods. And he actually got the idea to put the light into the Silmarils and preserve it by looking at his niece's Galadriel's golden hair, which is said to have captured the light of the two trees blended. We have the trees Telperion and Laurelin, and the tree of the moon, and then the tree of the sun. And when the light blended together, it was just the ambiance. And Galadriel's hair was said to capture that light and reflect it. And he looked at it, and he even asked her, "Can he have a strand of her hair?" And she looked in his heart and saw that it was dark, and he had hatred in it and jealousy and stuff like that. And she literally told him no 3 times. So he took that idea and he put it into these jewels, and everyone loved the Silmarils. Everyone wanted the Silmarils. Even the gods loved the Silmarils, and they hallowed the Silmarils. When I say hallowed, that means they blessed the Silmarils so no evil could touch them. So nothing of evilness could touch the Silmarils. This is how special these jewels were. And if something evil touched them, it would be burned and scorched, and it would hurt them. So he would walk around with these Silmarils, and it kind of got to him. It kind of, being such a craftsman of that caliber, he got a big head, and he became very, arrogant and nasty, and he possessive. He didn't want anybody that wasn't in his immediate family to be able to touch the Silmarils, and unfortunately, it leads to the downfall of the First Age, and all the problems in the First Age come from the Silmarils, which it wasn't intended to be. But this is what happened. Morgoth ends up stealing the Silmarils, pitting the elves against each other, killing his father Finwë, Feanor's father Finwë, stealing the Silmarils, and then fleeing to Middle Earth. And he put the Silmarils, where did he put them?
He put them on his brow in a crown, right?
In his crown. Now, Morgoth's hands were burned black because Morgoth is pure evil. So when he touched the Silmarils, he was scorched and burned. So his hands would burn black from touching them. So he put them in his crown, and he would wear this crown. And even though he's the strongest being in Arda besides Eru Ilúvatar, he literally, the Silmarils would weigh down his head because the power that they possessed. And he stole them, and he had them for hundreds and hundreds of years. And literally all the wars that happened in Beleriand pretty much happened from Feanor and the rest of the Noldor elves coming and trying to get the Silmarils back, or someone making his sons crazy oath to get the Silmarils back, affecting the rest of the elves and Arda and everything like that. And it's just, you would literally have to read the Silmarillion because it gets really deep and really hectic. But so much problems happen because of these jewels, but they're still so loved and still so wanted. And speaking of the Silmarils, the Dalglimir, one of the Silmarils does get retrieved, and when it gets retrieved, it's brought to the person who wanted it retrieved, and they have the Nauglimir in their possession, and they have the Silmar in their possession. So they have a Silmaril and the Nauglimir, and they have the bright idea to take the two most, the greatest, wonderful jewels and necklace in the entire world, the two most prized things in the entire world, and put them together in one. So they had the dwarves, the greatest smiths besides Feanor and Celebrimbor, but they're the greatest smiths all around for the most part. Besides those two elves, he had the dwarves of the Blue Mountains, put the two together, merged them. So we have the Nauglimir, which now has the one Silmaril inside of it, and it's when it was worn by Luthien Tenuvial. It was just, whew. It started another war though, and it ended up destroying a kingdom, and it's just crazy. So these Silmarils, they all have different fates, and they all go their own way, but they are the greatest jewels in the entire history of Middle Earth, and their fate actually mirrors that of the three elven rings. Because one of the Silmarils' fate is literally fire. One of the Silmarils' fates is water, and one of the Silmarils' fates is sky. And we have the ring of air, sky, the ring of water, and we have the ring of fire. So, how's that?
Wow. There's a lot of those parallels in Tolkien stories, I think, as we will come to discover the more we chat about them. Did anything good happen from the Silmarils? Did anybody good? I mean, Luthien wore it as part of the Nauglamir, but did they bring any good to anyone ever?
Yes. So, as you know, in the Lord of the Rings, we see Frodo gets a gift from uh, Galadriel. It's called the File of Galadriel. And she said, let it be a light in dark places when all other lights go out. Now, I know you're thinking, well, what does that have to do with the Silmaril? One of the Silmaril's fates is the sky. And she looks up and she says, that's the star of Arundel. And that's our brightest star. And what most people don't know is that light is actually a Silmaril. It's shining
Oh.
afar and on the brow of the ship Vingulat, and literally that is a Silmaril. And that light she captured in that file. And when he uses it to repel Shelob, and he uses it to light, and be guided, and that is the good that comes out of one of the Silmarils. Also, Earendil, the savior of the world, Earendil the blessed, the mariner, he saves the world and ends the war of the jewels. He uses the Silmaril to defeat the largest dragon that ever existed, and Caligon the Black. And yeah, that ends the War of Wrath, and that actually saves the world. So yes, something good did come of a Silmaril. In the right hands, it can be used for good.
I can tell by your enthusiasm when you say "and Caligon the Black" that we're going to have a future episode about him. Are we? Probably.
Absolutely, and Caligon the Black. Oh, I do versus battles on my TikTok, guys. So make sure you go check those out. And for to actually see the jewels, remember, follow Kali Cosplay. Kali
Mm.
Cosplay literally has many of the jewels, and she wears them so well. So make sure we are doing that, guys. Make sure we are telling our friends, hey, listen, you better do better in Kali Cosplay. They have this wonderful podcast, and she's dressed in full elf attire, and she has the rings of power on. She has the one ring. She has the ring of barrier. She has the three elven rings. She even has the even star. She has the elven cloak. Oh my goodness!
I have my
We can't
little.
see her ears right now because we got our headphones on, but she
I
has the
even have
ears.
the leaf of Lorien on my lapel here. Not
Yes,
idly do the leaves of Lorien fall.
yes, never, never. There's got to be a reason. So these are some of the jewels, not all, but some of the jewels. I think the most important jewels that are in the Lord of the Rings, or in Arda, or in the Silmarillion, and their histories are very rich. They're not just literally just thrown out there and there's no lore behind them. These things are very important. I literally did a TikTok yesterday describing a pearl that was known as Nymphalis, and it
Hmm.
was literally also um, gifted to the dwarves for their help in building the palace of Menegroth, which is the main palace of Thingol, the king of the Sindar Elves, and Meli and Amaya, the queen of the Sindar. Um, the dwarves helped build it, and they built it. It's called Menegroth, the Thousand Caves, and this pearl was found by the Philathrum. These are the Sindar elves that live by the sea, and their lord is Círdan the shipwright. And he gifted it to Thingol, and then Thingol in turn gifted it to the dwarves of Belagos for their help in building Menegroth. And they love it, and it's so important to them because the dwarves never go to the sea. They're scared of the sound of it. That's not in their nature. They stay in their mountains, in their hills, and that's what they do. So something so rare to them is something so valuable to them. And the chieftain of the dwarves of Belagos, he valued it over a mountain of gold. That's how important this pearl, Nymphalis, was. It was a great giant pearl the size of a dove's egg. So just imagine that, Callie.
The size of a how would you even set that into? That would be awkward to carry around, wouldn't it?
If anybody could do it, the dwarves could. The
The dwarves
dwarves
could. They
sorcerers
could.
is
You're right.
amazing. Yeah, man. So,
Yeah.
oh man, this was so much fun, man. Getting to share these histories of these jewels, man.
Oh, I
Oh my
love to hear
goodness.
them. I mean, I look at my pieces all the time, and it's just awesome to hear the stories from you.
So I
Um,
got an idea that I wanna put forth to you. It's just something I
okay.
want to do with every episode. I'm going to change up the questions depending upon the guest that we have. But since we're talking about jewelry, I'm going to ask you, out of all the jewels in Arda, which would you want to possess? Now I know you possess many of them, but if you really had the actual jewel that with the actual power, whether it had one or not, which jewel would you possess?
That's a really hard and unfair question to ask somebody who just wants all of them. Uh, oh my goodness. Oh, I've always loved Nenya, and I love what it stands for. It's for preservation and concealment from evil.
Okay.
And I always like that, and it's an everyday piece that you can wear subtly, um on your hand. But if I was just gonna go bang all out for it, I know the Noglamir is so beautiful and so precious, but I am a sucker for those emeralds, and I would say I would take the necklace of Girion over all of them. That piece is just so beautiful to me, and I think I could definitely pull it off. I think.
I think you could do it. I think you could do it.
Would you
I
have
would
a
go with
jewelry?
the Nauglamir. I would go
Yeah.
with the Nauglamir. I love
Mm.
the dwarven make of it.
Mm.
You know what I'm saying? I want to go strutting it around. As far as I know, beside it containing the Silmaril, if I got it before it got the Silmaril, it doesn't possess any curses, so I'd be okay.
True. True.
I'd take it before it got the Silmaril. I don't want the
Mm.
Silmarils. There's too much problems coming along with that. I
Yeah.
ain't,
You
ain't
got
you
to
know,
stay
I don't want
good.
no smoke. I don't want no smoke. I don't want no smoke. Nobody running up on me trying to get the Silmarils. I'm not with none of that. You know what I'm saying? So yeah, that would be awesome. Okay, so if you were any race, what race do you think possessed the most beautiful jewelry or created the most beautiful jewelry?
Well, we know the dwarves created great beauty. In reading the stories, I think also because Tolkien writes a lot about the elves and there's so much rich history there that I think when you read them you can't help but um get attached to them because there's just so much on them. But if I was to identify with any of the races of Middle Earth, I would say that I'm probably more like a dwarf. Just sort of
Me
their
too.
industriousness and their how they work hard and how they're humble. And I think that is more how I actually am for real. The elves are lovely, but they're just sort of removed, and they stare off into space, and they're very ethereal, and they think a lot. And I come from a farming girl background, so I'm a worker. I'm a hard worker, and
All
I
right.
respect that about the dwarves. How about yourself?
I too would be a dwarf. I like the
No.
fact that they work hard. Um, Literally, they are humble, but they're not humble at the same time. They fight fiercely for what's theirs.
Oh yeah.
But they're very actually, if you they're very respectful when respect is due.
Mm-hmm.
You know, they don't leave their friends, but you know they have their ways about them. But if you dig deep into them, they're great people. They're great people, and they're hard workers, and they're immensely tough. And you
Mm-hmm.
know, being a New Yorker, we being tough is one of our things, and I like that about them. They don't take crap from nobody. They with the smoke when it's time to have a smoke. They like, yo, listen, you're not getting nothing from me. You're not taking nothing from me. 13 dwarves in the mountain and against two armies, and they said, nothing will thieves take. Nothing, I don't care about none of that. Nobody ain't running up here, and they prepared themselves and they were gonna willing to die for that. Now, some may look at that as the wars being greedy and everything, and it absolutely was for to an extent. But at the same time, the bravery to know I'm willing to die for this, you know, is respectable. It's commendable in a sense, So I like the dwarves. You know what I'm saying? I love them. Plus, I'm short. We've already had a conversation. We're
Oh,
we're
you're
both short,
you're you're two
so
very short people.
we're short. We're very short people. In real life, I'm real short, but that's all right though. I accept that. It makes me who I am. Also, I don't have a crazy beard like the dwarves, but I got a little beard, a little
You got a
beard,
little
like
one going. I
little,
don't have
little,
much
little.
of one. I've been trying for like the better 30 years of my life, but no beard is really, it's not happening for
You
me.
baby smooth, baby smooth.
But
No beard.
sometimes I like to pretend that maybe it could be there,
Oh man.
a
So Callie.
thinking beard.
So if you had to pick one Maiar, you had to pick one Maiar to marry. You had to pick one Maiar to be your protector. Okay. And then you had to pick one Maiar to fight against. Who would
the
it be?
the the Maiar or the Valar?
The Maiar.
So I would I would marry Radagast.
Wow, that's unconventional right there. I like that.
Mary I
Oh,
Wendell Radagast, because I love the animals. I love that he loves the animals, and that his only mission was really just to be in Arda, protecting them, looking after them. He lost his way a wee bit because he got
yeah.
into
Definitely went off track a little bit, but
he got into the plant life a little bit there, but
he veganed out on us.
but and I'm talking about, of course, the book Radagast Iwendell. The Hobbit movies have him as quite a crazy character, but the book version of him, I think he and I would get along in our little wood hut with our team of rabbits. What
Hmm.
kind of rabbits were they? They were some sort of special breed of rabbit.
Rascaville,
Baskerville, yeah, Baskerville
Rascaville, I think,
rabbits, yeah,
something
and
like that.
and we would just go around on our rabbits and feed the animals, and that
On your sleigh.
that would be that would be my married life. I would love that
Okay, and who would
for
you choose to
sure.
protect you?
To protect me, um, oh, I don't know if I would say Saruman or Gandalf. I mean, to protect me, I think I would say Saruman, Kurumo. As long as I knew I had his allegiance, I think that Saruman would fight to the death for me. I think he would cross all sorts of lines, and do whatever he needed to make sure that I was okay.
You know what?
And in a
These answers
protector,
are not prototypical answers. They're not typical at all. So thank you so much for giving these answers because you are coming out of left field with some great answers and great reasoning as to why you're giving these answers. And this is what we need. We need this type of stuff. We don't need to just, oh, Gandalf. Everybody's going to say Gandalf. Let's try something else. All right. So
yeah.
Saruman, and I understand because he would cross all kind of lines. He would straight violate anybody trying to disrespect you.
Yeah.
So yes.
Yeah.
Okay. All
And
right.
I warned you before we started this that sometimes my thoughts are unconventional, but I think it's
That's
fun.
all right. That's what we need. So, and if you had to fight against any of the Maya, the Maya, which one would it be? If you felt confident, like I want to fight them and beat them, which one would it be?
Definitely not Aussie. I'm afraid of the water. I have a respectful fear of the ocean. Um. Oh my goodness. I mean, I don't want to fight Gandalf, but I guess I would.
You could say it. You think Gandalf's a chump. You think you could take him.
His pity is his strength and his weakness.
Okay. Okay. I think you're onto something there. I think that could be a whole topic in and of itself. And I think that
Hmm.
you may be right because remember he didn't really actually fight too many times. Gandalf, he was a mover of things and people, and he didn't
Mhm.
want to fight. He was actually scared to come over. When the gods sent him over as one of the Astari, he said, I don't think I could beat Sauron." He knew he couldn't beat. Let's be clear, he can't beat Sauron, but he was scared of him. But his humbleness and his humility is what made them choose him, and they knew that he could inspire and he would go around and do the right thing, and that's why he was chosen. But that could be his weakness. That could definitely be his weakness. He was trying to protect the fellowship, and he stood up into the Balrog, and the Balrog said, "Sit down for a second there, fall in this abyss." But he ended up slaying the Balrog, but he died in the process and had to be brought back. So I think it can be done. I think it can be done. So very good choices there.
Do you want to answer the same for yourself?
Sure, I'll answer these questions. So if I had to marry any of the Maya, it would definitely be Melian. And Melian is wise. Nobody listened to her. I
Hmm.
would listen to you, Melian. First of all, you are the mother of Luthien and Tanuvia, the most beautiful elf in the type. So you got to be bad. You are probably even badder, but we're only talking about elves when we talk about Luthien's the baddest. You probably even badder, and you're just so powerful. Your power rivals that of Sauron, who is my favorite Maya. So absolutely, I would marry Melian the Maya, and then if I had to get somebody to protect me, I'm getting Sauron. I'm definitely getting Sauron because he's my guy. He's a goon. He's doing whatever it takes. You're not, you know what I mean? He's going to kidnap your family and tell where you live at. He's going to do everything. You know what I mean? He's going to try to peer in your mind. You know what I'm saying? He's going to literally he'll hang you on a banner and carry your body around on a banner. He is ruthless. He is patient. He's going to do what it takes to win. They only beat him by luck. Let's be clear. Like they weren't going to win. When Sauron loses, it's like very fadey. Like he's not just catching the fade. He's losing by extreme circumstances of fate that just happen to win over him. And he's going to do what it takes. And since I'm such a great being myself, fate's going to be on our side, and we're going to actually win that. So Sauron is going to be my protector, and
It's a
who
good
I'm going to
choice.
fight, I'm going to absolutely fight Radagast for being a bum. I'm going to fight Radagast
My
for not
boo,
doing nothing,
my boo boo.
for not helping out. He left my man. He left my man Gandalf struggling. He left him in the trenches taking grenades. He
Yeah.
didn't do much, man. He's riding around on rabbits, smoking weed. He ain't doing too much. I gotta fight you, Ratty guys. I gotta put you down. You can't do nothing, or you could call the animals all you want to. Peter is not gonna save you, my guy. I'm gonna get my boy Sauron to put hands on you, and that's gonna be the end of it.
Oh, he's such an
You
easy
know?
one though. Poor thing.
Yeah, man.
My
That was
man.
so much fun. We are coming up on an hour, guys. So I think that is where we are going to leave off with our first episode of Voices of Arda. I can't
Woo!
sing word for a damn, but you know what I
I ain't
mean?
even gonna try. All right. So to wrap us off, can you tell them if they have questions or suggestions? Do you know where to send that to?
I think you should tell them because
I
you
should tell.
created the wonderful
Okay.
email,
All
and we want to hear your voice more.
All
So tell them, Kelly.
right. This is probably the episode where I will speak the most because, like I said, I really hoping that we'll get some guests up here and get some banter going. It will be
Oh,
so
it's
much
happening. We're gonna
fun.
have some back and forth. We're gonna have great guests, guys. If you would like to be a guest, literally contact either one of us on our TikToks. But this is where you can actually contact us. Kelly, go ahead.
Yes, so the official email for this podcast is going to be voicesofarda@gmail.com. So voices, VOICES of OF, Arda, ARDA, at gmail.com. Voicesofarda@gmail.com. So send us, if you want to be a guest, send us your questions, send us your suggestions. Tell us if we messed up when we were talking about something. Just email
We are
us.
open to all things. Yeah. If you don't agree with us about something, literally, if you want to come on and talk, we're open to all ideas, all people's. If you want to come up and fool around with us and joke, and we could talk about some unconventional talking stuff, that would be awesome. We are trying to have fun. We're trying to have a good time. If you got some cool ideas, you want to come and display a talent. If you want to outshine Callie, we're all agreed. If you got something even better than Callie, come up here and show her.
I think everybody's got something better than Callie,
Nah, not at
but
all. Callie's awesome.
but yeah, we look forward to hearing from you and for you to hear more from us. And
Yes, guys.
so we'll wrap up this episode, as we will in future episodes, with just a little self-care tip. Remember to take care of yourself before you worry about others. You can't pour from an empty cup. Take breaks when you need to, and be sure to check in with yourself as often as you check in with others.
That literally sounded like that was from Myth Reindeer. That sounded like Gandalf came up with those self care tips, but it was the lovely KaliCosplay.
So a
So
little
that is going to be it for our first episode. Guys, remember
yay!
to follow me, the one and only Knew Better Do Better, and KaliCosplay, the one and only, at our socials. You can find us on TikTok. You can find us on Instagram.
Mm-hmm.
We have a Discord. Our links are in our bios and our respective TikToks. I'll have the link printed up on these literally in our podcast when the episodes come out. And yeah, this is our episode 1, and that is it. It's a wrap. Thank you so much for being a wonderful audience, and thank you for listening to Voices of Arda.
Thank you. Hit me
And
with the outro.
bang! Shout out to Glenn Dre.